Alright everyone, welcome to the Avast free antivirus 2016 removal test. I feel everyone's been waiting for this for time. Maybe not. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with this right away. So we're going to go ahead, right click and run as administrator. Maybe. If it lets me, there we go. Alright, so that took a little bit longer than it needed to, but as you all know, there is a piece of malware on here that decides to re-encrypt the hard drive every so often, and I think it's in the process of doing that right now, so it's going crazy, to say the least. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and uncheck install the Google Chrome browser because we don't need to install any more junk on this PC. Not saying that Chrome is junk, I use it myself, but we just don't need anything else installed on here right now. And then we're going to go ahead and do a default install. And there you go. As you can see, Avast is installing. So, with that said, I want to talk about something quick that was brought to my attention in the prevention video. Somebody noticed that I stated JavaScript, or I should say when user went to go run some JavaScript, I stated that I don't have Java installed on the virtual machine, so there's no need to run it because it just can't do anything. I was incorrect, and I want to just say that someone brought that to my attention and explained it to me, and it makes complete sense. Now, I was told years ago by an IT guy that said, "Oh, you don't have Java on there, so you don't have to worry about JavaScript." That is incorrect. JavaScript is actually incorporated in pretty much every single major browser out there, and he stated, and I realize this now, that a lot of websites use JavaScript. Especially games and things like that use JavaScript. So, and then the thing that the thing that really jogged my memory, thinking to myself, "You stupid idiot," talking about myself there. How could you have, even thought about that? Well, when you see the settings in Internet Explorer that say, scripting under the scripting settings, Java applet settings. Gee, well, maybe it's incorporated in the browser. So I just wanted to clear that up with you guys that I was incorrect. JavaScript will actually work perfectly fine inside the browser as long as you have it enabled and not disabled, that is. But you do not require Java to run JavaScript. So, and apparently people get that mixed up quite often, and I was one of them. So, and then also, I failed to mention a feature within Avast, within the configuration video or installation video, I should call it. They actually incorporated a new protocol into their cloud-based scanner. I think it's their cloud-based as well, but I know for sure their Web Shield scanner. They now use SPDY, and that's SPDY, I believe. And that's a protocol that was developed by Google. And it was developed to improve security as well as reduce latencies within web page load times. It is currently implemented in Google Chrome. So that's how when people always say, "Oh, Chrome loads faster," well, that's mainly the reason why. Is because they've implemented their SPDY protocol, is what they call it. So that's been implemented in Avast as well. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and then once we get the interface up, I'll be back. So see you in a bit, guys. Alright everyone, here we are back. I did step away and watch an episode of Scorpion because it was just taking forever, so I figured I'd let it run, let it do its thing. I didn't touch anything though, guys. This is seriously after the installation. This is what I've come to. So it looks like there are a couple notifications on the screen. We have one saying that there is a threat blocked. So there's malware running in the background still that is trying to communicate with the internet. However, Avast is preventing it from phoning home, essentially, or at least loading more malicious URLs in the background. We also do have, biggest screen right here, is rootkit found. So it supposedly has found 2 rootkits on this system. Looks like one within the Windows directory, not good to see, and then one looks like it's in a Skype folder, Skype updater, so it looks like it's trying to pose itself as Skype. Actions to take is delete by default. Ignore, well, we obviously don't want to ignore it because we know that it's malicious, so we're going to go ahead and delete now. Okay, so to finish cleanup process, we recommend running a boot time scan, i.e. restarting the computer and letting Avast scan all your data. So we're going to go ahead and do that because regardless of the fact that you can see it's removed pretty much all of the malware. It's done a bang up job from what I can see on this system. We're going to still run a boot time scan just because what it'll do is it will take us out of this Windows environment and load up only some essential files provided by Avast. In a sense, it's a very stripped down scanner, and it'll essentially just scan all of the files on the hard drive in their state that they're currently in. So I thought I'd click yes, but obviously it didn't work. So we're going to go ahead and do that. As you can see, once that is completed, I'll be back and we'll take a look at the state of the system then. So see you in a bit. Alright everyone, so you can see that Avast is scanning our computer within the bootable environment right now, and it's already finding, as you can see, a lot of malware. I don't know about a lot of malware, but it is definitely finding some malware on this system. So we're going to let this scan, and like I said, once it's done, we'll be back and we'll take a look at the state of the machine and if it's any more or any cleaner than it was before, as well as running a full system scan on it within Windows's environment. So see you in a bit. Alright everyone, so it appears as if the boot time scan has finished here, and if you look at the bottom, cannot point at it, but we do have 3 options, or actually 4 options. We can press 1 to say yes and move the file to the chest, or we can press 2 to say yes to all, or 3 no, or escape. So, and it may actually not be done. Let's see, let's press number 2 here. And no, it's actually not done. So it just got stuck on that specific file. I press 2 to say yes to all if it finds any sort of additional malware now. If it can't clean it up or delete it, just move it to the chest and deal with it then. So hopefully we're almost done here. So it appears as if the boot time scan has finished, and it doesn't look like there's too much in the way of any more malware that was removed from the system, visually that is. But as you could see during the scan, it was removing a lot of malware from this system. So what we're going to do now is we are going to do an additional full system scan here. So we're going to go up here to scan for viruses, and let's just start a full system scan here. We're going to use default settings here and go with that first and see what the default settings can do in the way of detection on this system of the remaining pieces of malware. Now hopefully the scan will go faster. Hopefully the boot time scan uses the same caching capabilities that the rest of Avast's program does, but so far right now I'm not too not holding out for hope, considering it's still at 0%. So we're going to go ahead and when it's done, come back and talk about the results. Here we are, the scan has completed. Let's take a look at what it found. Okay, so it supposedly has found 1 threat located in program data here. So that's pretty good. That shows that the boot time scan pretty much is equivalent to a full-time scan, which it really should be. I mean, you're just scanning the computer inside or outside of Windows' environment. So good kudos to Avast for being able to scan and remove everything within that environment. I know some scanners have had issues in the past, and some people have brought to my attention they didn't like the fact that he used the boot time scanner because they said that it was not as redundant or powerful as the regular inside or normal scanner within Windows. So as you can see, yeah, it definitely did a good job. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to delete this here. It looks like it's just a temp file. Application data. You know, we'll just fix it automatically. So we're going to go ahead and fix this one right here. See how long it takes to repair that issue. Search, okay, applications. So yeah, looks like there's a Trojan within there. Okay, possible. Okay, so what does it say? Can't see that because it's off to the side. Okay, action, postpone until next reboot. Okay, so it wants me to essentially reboot the system, and then what we're going to do is, okay, to finish cleaning up, I recommend running boot time scan. I just ran a boot time scan. You want to schedule one? No, I don't want to schedule a boot time scan. I'm sorry, I'm not going to wait around because I have another thing I'd like to do before I finish this. So keep that in mind, guys. There is one more thing, one more setting that I'm going to change here. So, but before we do that, let's go ahead, follow what Avast says. We're going to reboot the computer just to allow it to remove any additional pieces of malware, let Windows get a fresh start. Considering this was the first boot after it did the boot time scan, so it kind of did a partial boot, if you want to call it that. It didn't fully restart. So we'll give it a full restart, give it a chance to reacquaint itself, and we'll come back and take a look at the settings that I'm going to go ahead and change. So hopefully we'll clean up the rest of this malware. I really hope so, because that would be awesome to see. So be right back in a bit. Alright, so I finished rebooting, and I forgot to tell you this earlier, but I took the liberty of deleting the broken shortcuts there on the desktop just to clean things up a little bit, and then as well restore the interface or the theme back to its default theme for Windows, so it looks a little bit better instead of having that Russian ransomware for our background, because that looked just wonderful. Anyways, so now I have been reading the comments, guys, and a lot of you have been complaining, and I remember this was kind of a conflict with the last version too. Why didn't you enable potentially unwanted programs? That's not a fair test. Well, because you know how I like to leave things at default. So for this, because we already did our full system scan and only found one additional item, we're going to go ahead now and we're going to go to options here, maybe, and we're going to enable the potentially unwanted programs in the general tab, and it's still loading here. I don't know why this is loading so slowly, but nevertheless, we're going to go ahead and enable that, and hopefully see that Avast will then in turn detect all of the adware on the system and remove it. Now, as you can see, it did remove quite a bit of adware. I'm very, very impressed at how much it removed, but we're going to go ahead and go for more. So here is eventually, finally, 30 years later, the scan for potentially unwanted programs, otherwise known as PUPs. So we're going to go ahead and check that box and click OK. Okay, so now we got that setting enabled. Now what we're going to do is we are going to start another full system scan. Yes, another full system scan. I'm really going above and beyond for you guys right here. Spending the extra time, going the extra mile, just so that we can make sure that we got this test all squared away and see, and I'm kind of curious too to see how much more in the way of programs it will detect, or malware that it will detect, versus not having it checked. So let's go ahead and start it, and I guess once the scan is over again, we'll take a look at the results once again, and in theory it should be a lot higher than just one detection. So see you in a bit. Alright, so we did our potentially unwanted programs full system scan, and it says threat detected. So let's take a look at what it has found. And it looks like it's that same threat earlier. Okay, so it looks as if it's going to need to, let's try and see if we can just move it to the chest and get rid of it that way. If not, we probably are going to end up doing that boot time scan to attempt to get rid of it that way. Alright, so apply again. It's looking like it's not able to remove it here. We got an error. Let's see if we can. Okay, they really got to make this a little bit easier to navigate in my mind. Okay, so the process cannot access the file because it's being used by Network Pro 32. Okay, let's go ahead and try to. We're going to do fix automatically, and it looks like we're going to have to end up doing that boot time scan. So let's do that, and then we're going to start that boot time scan to attempt to get rid of this last threat here. So what's happening is something is accessing that program, so therefore Avast cannot remove it. That's even I've obviously tried to use some forcibly remove the program. There we go. I'll get it out eventually and say it, but obviously that has failed, as most antiviruses are able to do that. So therefore we need to do it outside the Windows environment. So once that's complete, we'll be back and run our scans with Hitman Pro, and well, I think we'll see. Hitman Pro, and maybe I'll do Norton Power Racer too. Let's see what that finds. But for sure, Hitman Pro I'll be back with. So see you in a bit. Alright, so Hitman Pro has finished scanning, and during that I was also downloading Process Explorer so we can take a look and see if there's any malware running in the background. And this came up right here, stating that there are multiple browser add-ons that have a bad reputation. And looking at them right now, they just look very adware-like to me. That's what I'm going to call them, adware-like. So let's go ahead and click Remove Bad Add-ons and see what happens. Okay, removal of bad add-ons requires you to. Okay, so we got to select a default search provider here. So we're going to go with Google here, even though they recommend Yahoo. That's because they're sponsored by it. And then complete free cleanup. Let's So it looks like it's cleaning up the browser, and our browser is supposedly clean again. So it should bring us to Google here, and it does bring us to Google. That's awesome. So our browser is now supposedly clean again. Let's take a look at manage add-ons and just see what we have running in here. Okay, so we do have Avast running, that's good, and then we got this Beijing something another running still. That's disabled. We got this thing running. I don't even know how to. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Skype, that's okay, except that's not. No, it's not even Skype. That's a rogue version of Skype, from what I understand. It doesn't look like something legitimate. And then we got this thing running down here. So not all has been cleaned up. There are still malicious add-ons running in the browser, but that's good to see that Avast has detected some of them and actually removed them. So props to them. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Process Explorer and see what we have running. As you can see, everything on this system looks secure and clean. There appears to be no malware actually running in the background. And that's a really good thing, guys. And my hard drive is idle. Everything is good to go there. So overall, I'd say that this system is very clean and is clean. This Avast has done a very good job at cleaning up this system. However, we look at Hitman Pro, and there's still some stuff left in the system. Now, this is pretty good compared to what we've seen in the past. It did remove a lot in the way of malware. And in addition to that, if you look, a lot of this stuff is like the search protect right here, which is adware, and then it's also just some registry entries. It's not even actual files. So the parent threat most likely has been removed. It's just that there are these registry entries left over. Now, we do have some malware that is left on the system here. As you can see, we have this DLL right here, which is part of a Trojan, and it is still within the application data folder, and it's a Trojan downloader, so that's something you definitely want to get rid of right there. And granted, it's not running, so it can't do anything right now, but it's there, and that scares me because there could be another threat on here, one of these threats to be exact, that could spawn that or cause that Trojan to download more stuff. And this is actually Trojan ransomware here, so this is just part of a threat. Now, the other part of the threat could have been removed as well. It's hard to say because the system was so infected. But this is also, like I said, a bad infection right here. This is ransomware, so this is something you definitely don't want in the system. So these two threats right here, along with this one right here, realistically are the biggest threats on this system right here that I would be concerned about. But for as infected as the system was, this is outstanding. And like I've stated before, there's no one-stop shop for our cleanup. You want to use different tools. And as you can see right here, Hitman Pro did a good job. You could just clean this up, and then this system would be pretty much clean. Overall, like I've stated in the past, I would still format the hard drive because I don't really trust this system. However, as you can see right now, it does appear to be clean. So let's close that out. And now, you guys remember I did change that setting. As you can see here, we did scan for potentially unwanted programs. Now, I'm going to explain to you guys why I don't think that it did anything else. Because you obviously see it didn't detect anything else besides what it detected earlier with the default settings. And you always kept saying, oh, well, you should enable it, you should enable it. It's not really a fair chance. This is because, from what I understand, this is related more towards the real-time protection, not towards the on-demand. So, you guys were right in the sense of prevention-wise. It may have not picked up on that adware as good as it could have because this option was not enabled. However, when it came to scanning the system, it should have detected that malware. Now, maybe because I believe I did a quick system scan or a smart scan, maybe it didn't scan that specific area. So I'm not going to be too harsh on Avast. And it is just adware. You can remove it. It's nothing like Trojans like we saw earlier or ransomware in that sense. That would be very bad if it got through. And so let's take a look then, and I'm going to show you why here. I should go to the right area. So we're going to click on scan for viruses, and then here's the scan settings right here. Now if we go to, I believe it is sensitivity in here, now this is more, I believe, for the behavioral detections and the heuristics. However, as you can see, they do have potentially unwanted, or scan for potentially unwanted programs. So by default, the on-demand scanner is always going to scan for those potentially unwanted programs. That's just how it is by default. But Avast does not enable the real-time protection, from what I understand, because that's what that other setting is for. Does not enable scan for potentially unwanted programs by default. Now, this is why I think they do it. because when you scan using the real-time protection module, you can have compatibility issues with programs that they may think is adware being removed from the system while the user is trying to install them, which can be quite frustrating. So in a sense, that gives the user time to decide whether they want to remove it after the scan. So you scan for viruses, and then in a sense, the scan results are displayed on the screen, and it says, hey, do you want to remove this or not? And you look at that and say, no, this is safe. I want to keep this. And that gives you that chance to make your own decision versus Avast making it for you, and then people getting mad saying, why can't I install this? Oh, it's Avast that's causing the issue. Frickin' Avast, get out of my way. So that's the reason I think they don't enable it by default. Personally, I think they should, just because adware is becoming such a big issue. But bottom line, that is why I think, or at least my opinion right there, on why I think that it performed the exact same. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but that's what I've come to the conclusion of right there by kind of doing a little snooping around online, as well as my own experience with testing it right now. So bottom line with Avast. What would I say about it? I think that it is a very good antivirus and a very good solution in a sense for someone who's just looking for some, kind of a fix-it-all. Not really, I guess I can't call it a fix-it-all, but it's very close. An install, forget type of antivirus. And Avast has been around for years, guys, and has always been very reliable. They were really one of the pioneers, the first pioneers when it came to free antivirus. The ones that you kind of think of next to AVG, and I mentioned that earlier. But overall, I'd say that the real-time protection was fairly good. Did it struggle a little bit with the adware, but that's because of that potential unwanted program setting was not enabled. But overall, the cleaning up, removal ability, there we go, is very good with Avast. I'd have to give it an A+ on that. It is one of the better ones that I've come across. I believe Bitdefender was one as well. I can't remember. I think it was Bitdefender. You have to go back and take a look, guys, but I'm not too sure. That did a very good job. I know I've run across a couple of them at cleaning up this infected virtual machine. And keep in mind, Avast also does have in their tools a rescue disk. So this wasn't even the rescue disk. This is just, in a sense, the free antivirus app running within Windows and then using the boot time scanner. Oh, that's right. I almost forgot to mention, guys. That threat in the boot time scanner, we ran that again, and that was not able to be removed. It errored out. It looked like it was an archive file that it's detecting it in. So that you would probably have to end up running a boot time scanner, which you could go ahead and create your media via USB or CD, whatever media type you is most convenient for you, and you have handy. Run that, and you can remove then you can remove the malware, because you're completely outside the Windows environment, not in a partially booted state of Windows. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this review. Hope you enjoyed the kind of extra long removal test that I think I did a very good job in a sense of being very thorough, testing different configurations in a sense to remove the potential unwanted programs, and kind of show you guys the difference between the general settings and then the separate settings window for the on-demand scanner. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next video.